welcome to Lovin' Life's Journey. I'm Chantel. Thank you so much for tuning in. Last week we did 5 honeybee and sunflower DIYs and they were a lot of fun. This week I have 5 more DIYs for you. These are kind of a variety of farmhouse style projects. So let's jump in and get started.
We are going to start by making a little project for the kitchen or dining room using this lighted wood sign from Dollar Tree. I'll also be using some little scraps of paint stir sticks that I had on hand, a scrap of black scrapbook paper or craft foam, and this set of salt and pepper shakers from Dollar Tree. First, I am using a pair of needle nose pliers just to twist off those pieces that are holding the front and the back together. I'm only going to be using the front piece that says Home Sweet Home for this project. Then I'm going to sand off any excess glue that's left over, and I'm going to take some Waverly chalk paint in the color of ivory and paint the front of my little sign. Next, I'm going to measure and cut my paint stir sticks. I'm putting 2 of the sticks together and measuring the thickness of this, and then I am going to measure out the width of my front piece and subtract the width of those 2 stir sticks from it, and then I'm going to cut a piece that size. And I know that's a little confusing, but you'll see how it all fits together here in a minute. Then I'm also going to cut another piece that is exactly the width of the front Home Sweet Home sign. So once I have those all marked out, I'm going to use my miter box and saw just to cut those to the correct length. Then I'm also going to mark out 2 pieces of the paint stick that are just the width of the paint stick. And these are going to be the sides of my little box. And then I will cut those as well. Then I'm going to go over all of my wood pieces with some sandpaper just to smooth out any rough or splintery edges. Now I'm going to assemble my little box using some wood glue, and I will also use a little bit of hot glue to help hold it together. I'm going to glue the 2 shortest pieces to the ends of the medium piece, and then I will glue that onto the longest piece so that it looks like this. And the Home Sweet Home sign is going to make the 4th side of the box. Next, I'm going to trace my sign on a piece of thin black craft foam, and you may want to make sure this is not too thick. You could also use some cardstock for this. After I cut that out, I'm going to trim where the little box is because I want to glue the box directly to the wood sign and not to the foam. I just think that it will hold together better this way. I'm going to use my hot glue gun and attach the foam to the back of the Home Sweet Home sign. And then I'll use some wood glue to attach the little box to the sign as well. And then I just put a couple rubber bands around this and let it dry for a couple of hours. Now I'm going to paint the little box using the ivory chalk paint, and I decided not to paint the inside of the box, but if you were going to paint it, I would recommend painting it before you glue it on to the Home Sweet Home sign. I also wanted to paint the edges of the Home Sweet Home sign black, and I started with a paintbrush and paint, but I decided that it would be faster and easier to just use a Sharpie marker, and this worked great. Then I'm using a little bit of black chalk paint and just a really bristly brush, and I'm going to dry brush over the entire piece. This is just going to give it a little bit of a worn and aged look. And to finish it off, I just tied a simple bow in this black and white check ribbon from Dollar Tree and hot glued it to the top of the little Home Sweet Home sign and added my salt and pepper shakers. This video is part of Heidi Sombel's Creative Champion Contest. Thank you to everyone who voted for me last week. I really appreciate it. You got me to round 2, and I am competing with these 5 other beautiful ladies. So make sure you go to the link in the description box to watch the next creators video. And also head over to Heidi's channel and watch the contest video where I show how I made this project, which is my entry for round 2. In that video you will see all of the other contestants' projects and how they made them, and Heidi will give you instructions on how to vote. I will put the link to Heidi's contest video in the description box below, so make sure you head over there after you're done watching this video so that you can see all of the entries to the contest and cast your vote for this week to hopefully get me through to round 3. This next project is another one for the kitchen or dining room, and for it I will be using 2 of these picture frames from Dollar Tree with the galvanized metal in them. I'll also be using a couple of these laser die cut flowers from Dollar Tree, one of these Crafter's Square wood planks, as well as a couple of craft sticks. I'm going to start by removing the back of the picture frame, and I am going to take the galvanized piece out, and I'm going to use a little screwdriver and remove that clip that is on there, and I'm going to do this for both of the frames. I will also be removing that back picture stand and the metal piece that holds it on. And I'm going to use a pair of pliers to pull out those little tabs that hold the picture backing on. I'm going to take my wood plank and I need to cut it down so it is the same length as the picture frame. So I'm just going to mark that and cut it with my miter box and saw. And then just smooth it out with a little bit of sandpaper or a sanding block. Now I'm going to cut off the ends of the craft sticks so that they fit inside the picture frames. I'm just using these miter shears. These are the best tool. I will link them in the description box below, but they are great for cutting things like this. Then I'm going to take my 2 frames, the wood plank and the 2 craft sticks, and I'm going to paint them all with a good coat of ivory colored chalk paint. I didn't paint the very edges of the wood plank because that is where I'm going to be gluing my picture frames. Once the ivory paint has dried, I'm going to go in with this Waverly chalk paint in the color Truffle. It's a darker brown, and I'm going to dry brush all of my pieces. Then I'm going to take a craft stick and glue it down the center of the galvanized piece, and I'm going to do this for both of them. This is going to cover up the hole where I removed the clip, and it's going to give it just a little decorative accent. Then I'm going to hot glue the galvanized metal piece with the picture frame backing back into the frame. Once those are all back together, I'm going to paint the backs using the ivory chalk paint, and I'm going to use the brown paint to dry brush and give it that distressed look so that it all matches. So now it's time to assemble this. I'm going to use some E6000 as well as a little bit of hot glue to run that along the long edge of that wood plank, and then I'm going to glue the picture frames on their edges up so that it creates a little napkin holder. And the finishing touch is going to be to add these laser die cut flowers from Dollar Tree. I thought about painting them or doing something different with them, but I kind of like them in their natural color, just the way they came in the package. So I'm adding a little bit of hot glue, gluing it to the center of that craft stick. Now you don't want to get too much hot glue because it will just squish through the flower and kind of make a mess. So just be a little bit cautious with the hot glue, and that's all there is to it. It's finished. Next, I'm going to be making a wall decor piece using an 11 by 14 picture frame from Dollar Tree. And I'm going to be using one of the rings off of this tomato cage that I also picked up at Dollar Tree. If you can't find this, you could probably use a ring from one of those 3D wreath forms. I will be using some of this lamb's ear that I picked up at Walmart, as well as some of this black and white check ribbon from Dollar Tree. To get started on this project, I am going to use some wire cutters and remove the ring from the tomato cage. This is the middle ring of the cage. I had already used the larger ring for another project, but this just comes off just by snipping the little clips that holds it on. Next, I'm going to remove the glass from the picture frame, and I'm going to set it aside. I'm going to be using it in a minute, but first I am going to take a little bit of ivory chalk paint and dry brush on the frame just to lighten it up just a little bit. And I didn't show it on camera, but I did take the glass from the picture frame out and I spray painted it with some off-white spray paint. And now that that's dry, I am dry brushing a little bit of black paint across the top. I also spray painted the ring with some black spray paint, but because it has a rubber coating on it, it just stayed really sticky and didn't dry. So I would recommend painting it with some chalk paint or something else. So I laid the ring on the center of the glass where I wanted it, and then I cut out the word blessed using my Cricut machine. You could use a transfer or stickers or any, you could freehand something if you wanted to, but this is just what I chose to do. And so I put that on my glass in the center, and then I'm going to take my ribbon and attach that ring to the glass using the ribbon. And it's mostly just to make it look like it's hanging, because I did actually attach the ring to the glass with a little bit of hot glue just to make it a little bit more secure. Then I'm going to fold that ribbon over, add a little hot glue, and then fold it to the back of the glass and secure it there as well. Now I'm going to add the lamb's ear greenery, and I'm going to cut this stem apart and glue the individual pieces on. That way I can have a little bit more control over how it looks on the wreath. Then I'm going to add the glass back into the picture frame and secure it just using those tabs that were already on the frame. If you are coming over from the Hop or from Heidi's channel and you are new here, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. If you haven't subscribed, I would love to have you hit that subscribe button and stick around. I do mostly Dollar Tree DIYs or DIYs on a budget. So we have a lot more of those to come, so be sure that you are subscribed. For the last project, we will be using this wooden pencil holder that I picked up in the Crafter's Square aisle at Dollar Tree, and a piece of one of these aluminum cookie sheets that you can find in the baking aisle at Dollar Tree. Be using some more of this lamb's ear from Walmart, as well as a little bit of jute twine. And for this project, I will be using some elephant colored chalk paint. It's just a really dark gray, as well as a lighter gray acrylic paint. For the first step, I am just going to cut a strip of the aluminum baking sheet to go around the center of my pencil holder. And these aluminum sheets will just cut with a pair of scissors. I recommend using an old pair of scissors, but they cut really easily. Be careful because they can be a little bit sharp, but not like regular tin or metal. So my goal is to paint this aluminum strip to look like galvanized metal. So I'm going to use my dark gray elephant chalk paint and just an old paintbrush, and I'm going to just pounce that paint on all over. And then I'm going to go in with some of the lighter paint and do the same thing. Then I'm going to mix the two and go over it a third time, and then after that I will go over it with a little bit more of the dark paint. And so I'm just adding layer upon layer to give it that galvanized metal look. Once that's dry, I'm going to add a little more accent paint. I'm going to use a black and just go around the edges and add a little bit of black to this to give it more of an aged look. If you wanted it to look more rusty, you could use kind of a rusty brown color like I showed just a little bit ago. Then I'm just going to wrap this strip around my pencil holder. You could paint the pencil holder if you'd like, but I kind of liked the natural wood look, so I'm going to leave it. I'm going to just attach it with a little bit of hot glue to secure it on. And then I'm going to cut a piece of the jute twine, tie it around the center of that metal, and tie a knot and trim off the ends. Next, I'm going to crumple up a Dollar Tree shopping bag because I have plenty of those, and I'm going to use this as a filler in the bottom of my cup and just poke that down inside. Then I'm going to take my lamb's ear and trim it down and just put that in and arrange it until I like the way it looks. Then I'm going to take a little tiny bit of Spanish moss and tuck that in around the edges a little bit just to finish it off and hide that plastic bag if it's showing at all. I hope you have enjoyed these farmhouse DIYs. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps my channel to grow. If you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button and also the bell so YouTube will notify you when I upload new videos. Be sure you go to that link in the description box to watch the next video in the Hop, and also head over to Heidi's channel and watch the contest video and cast your vote for your favorite project. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a blessed day.